safe or making my work environment a bad working environment, and then the investigation starts, and you know there's rumors, and you part of stirring and sending rumors. Well, when the investigation starts, and you have to tell the truth. So the best thing to do is stay away from that stuff. Because I've had a complaint several years ago in the old building where one did complain about a colleague making the work environment, you know, unsafe or uncomfortable. And when I get that kind of complaint, I have to act. Because if that, and then there was things that I had to do to make sure that that working environment was a safe and comfortable and pleasant work environment. So you cannot make somebody's work environment unpleasant because of rumors and spreading rumors and in groups and talking about stuff and all of that. As soon as somebody says, come Jesus, making my work environment uncomfortable, and I've got to go into an investigation. And you can't come in there and tell them, I ain't heard nothing. You just violated ethics. You just violated the honesty ethics. So the best thing to do to avoid all that, when you come here, do what? Stay what? Mind your own business. Stay what? Professional. Stay professional. When you walk in these doors, just stay professional. And if you stay professional, then you don't have these issues. And that's why we have to go over this stuff, because this stuff is easier to violate than you think. As soon as somebody registers a complaint, and I'm telling you, in this, not this building, but part of this faculty, we've had a complaint of someone making the workplace an unpleasant environment. Now, of course, we don't stand up and say we made that report, but it happens, and it has happened here. And when that stuff happens, then an investigation is being done, and then that stuff is submitted to the PSC. And I don't know about y'all, but a rumor and spread a rumor ain't worth my livelihood. I don't know about y'all. So be careful of getting caught in those groups and spreading stuff. As soon as someone says my work environment is not a pleasant one, we have to act. Okay? All right, continue.
Standard 4, honesty. The educator holds a pre-service certificate and completed the EdTPA assessment. Pearson notified the PSC that the submission contained unoriginal work that matched the submission of another student. The educator admitted she had taken the information from the internet and changed only a few words.
The educator submitted an application for certification to the PSC. On the application, she checked no to the personal affirmation question that asked, for any felony or any crime of moral turpitude, have you ever pled guilty, etc. In reality, she had been charged with 2 counts of deposit account fraud.
Standard number 4, honesty. The educator failed to hold appropriate meetings for student IEPs. The educator claimed to have met with parents over the phone due to parents being unable to attend.
All right, let's talk about IEP. And all I'm gonna jump up is stuff that's relevant and that's really happened. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. If you have a student with IEP or 504, make sure that you have read that and make sure that you know what that IEP states, that the accommodations for that student or the 504. Because I'll tell you what happened. You get a person in here whose child has a 504 or whose child has an IEP, and oh, by the way, that person is an educator. So educators know what rights looks like. And that child is sitting there facing possible alternative school. Okay? So then that educator goes into protection mode, because that's their child, and I completely understand that. And that educator starts talking about the child's 504 was not followed properly, or the child's IEP was not followed properly. And so we have to sit there and make sure that we follow those 504 plans and those IEPs properly. So please read them. Please give whatever accommodations or modifications that those students require. Because there could be a possibility where you'll be called on whether you done them or not. So please, we tell y'all check your kids, and we'll do the 504, and we'll do the IEPs, and we'll make sure everybody knows it. But if you have those students in your class, it doesn't matter how you feel personally. It doesn't matter if you think that, ain't nothing wrong with him, ain't nothing wrong with her. That doesn't matter. Whatever that IEP says, or whatever that 504 says, we must follow, because you could be called up on it. It could be called by not following it. And the last thing we want is a special ed advocate to come in here from the IDEA. And these, if you don't believe me, you ask some of these special ed teachers. We must follow those IEPs to the letter. We must follow those 504 plans to the letter. And like Dr. Hinton say, and like I say, like I've said as well, you can't give them your last name, give them my last name. Because, but by the grace of God, my children don't have a 504 or an IEP.
Dr. Craig?
Sir.
Will we be made aware at
Yes.
the school?
Yes, you will.
Okay.
You'll be made aware of every student that has a 504 and every student has an IEP. Okay? All right. So please follow those things to the letter so that we're not called on that. And you should want to do that anyway. Yes, sir.
How do we handle a student who might, they might require small group instruction, but they don't want to leave?
Well, we get parents involved in that.
So what do we do in the classroom when that happens?
Well, that's just something we get parents involved in. We come up with a plan for the parent. Can any of you especially add to that?
The best way to handle it is at the IEP meeting, if they see that he has a problem with coming out, then like Doc said, whatever's written in the IEP, that's what we have to follow. So it could be something as simple as, if it's in the IEP, little Johnny, if he determines that doesn't want to come out, if it's written in there, that's what we got to go by. But that's where you put it in and take it out. You can't do it after the fact, you know what I'm saying? Because you got to go by up until that new IEP meeting.
And what we've done is at the IEP meeting, sometimes the parent will just take it out. And if the parent decides to take it out, then it's a non-issue.
I guess what I'm asking is, like that day, or that time when we haven't had the IEP, then like the first time little Johnny says, I don't want to go today.
Right.
I don't want to do this. So
Right.
we just, okay, don't force the issue, maybe let caseworker go.
Yeah. Well, it's probably a co-taught class
Uh-huh.
in that situation, so your co-taught teacher handle that. If it's a co-taught class. Now, one thing that we try to do, that we're going to do a better job of, if we know it's going to be a pullout, we tell them the day before and just have them meet in the classroom instead of going to the regular class. Because it's embarrassing if we just pull out that little group of kids. Now, if we're pulling out a whole section of regular ed, then it's not too embarrassing. But it's embarrassing for some of them because the kids give them a hard time. So what we'll try to do this year is, if we know it's going to be our pull-out situation, just don't even let them come to class. Just tell them to meet in the room. Then that way it's not a pull-out situation. Okay. All right, where we at?
Standard 5, public funds and property.
Oh, go back. Go ahead, try it. Go ahead, Doc.
An educator entrusted with public funds and property shall honor that trust with a high level of honesty, accuracy, and responsibility.
Thank you.
Public funds and property. Unethical conduct includes, but is not limited to, 1, misusing public or school-related funds. 2, failing to account for funds collected from students or parents. 3, submitting fraudulent requests or documentation for reimbursement of expenses or for pay. Commingling public or school-related funds with personal funds or checking accounts, and using school property without the approval of the local board of education, governing board, or authorized designee.
Public funds and property. The educator admitted to stealing $1,695 from a fundraiser for a school field trip and spending it for personal use. He stated his family was in a financial hardship. The educator repaid the money.
The educator turned in her school-issued iPad and the IT department pornographic images stored on the computer. The educator issued a statement indicating she was unaware of the images and it must have been her grandson who had used her computer.
All right, money. What do we do when we collect money? We always do what? Write a receipt. So make sure if you collect the money that you write a receipt. Because when everything is good until debt time come around. And when debt time come around, what does a parent say? I paid it. I paid that. And you know I didn't pay it, but we have no receipts because you didn't write any receipts. So if you collect money, you write receipts. If before you issue anything, we'll talk about this again in our coaches, but in case we issue equipment, we issue a pair of shoes. Make sure the parent knows that you're issuing those pair of shoes. True story. We had a debt in the old building. Child couldn't receive a favorable action, whether it was prom, graduation, or something. So the father comes up there. I think the shoes were $75. First thing he says to me is, I didn't know nothing about these shoes. I didn't know anything about these shoes. Should a person have called me before they issued my child these shoes? No, I gotta pay this $75 for a pair of shoes that I didn't know anything about. So the person we cannot go through the children. We have to contact the people that's paying. If we're gonna do it on a credit, so to speak, we gotta get something in writing that they say they are willing to repay it. Now I had to stand my ground because the man was debating on whether he was gonna pay it or not because he didn't know anything about it. So I had to stand the ground because the child did have the shoes. But he was right because he was not notified that his child was getting a pair of $75 shoes. And at that time, he might not have had it. It might have been a hardship for him, so he was trying to get out of it. So make sure that anything that we do, issue equipment, and we're gonna let them pay for it later, make sure you get the parents to sign off on it, that they know about it and they're gonna pay. Because if not, everything is good until it's time to collect the debt. And then they get amnesia. And there ain't no use in taking it to the superintendent because what she's gonna ask is for the paperwork. And that's what I'm asking, for the paperwork. And no paperwork, you're gonna take a hit. So make sure that we have the paperwork. Now with me, when I Coach, I ain't give them nothing till they paid for it. So, and I always got shoes that if the kids didn't pay for them, I can send them back to the company. I ain't give them anything. You know, back then, you wanted everybody, it's changed now, but back then, you wanted everybody to wear the same shoes and, you know, look all uniform and stuff. But if you're gonna give them the equipment before they pay for it, you can put them on a payment plan, that's fine. But make sure that those parents know the payment plan, make sure those parents have signed that agreement that they will pay. And that way, at the end of the year, when debts come, or end of 3 years when debts come, then nobody gets amnesia. They will get amnesia. Some of y'all know that. They done got amnesia with y'all. But make sure you handle no money, anything. Make sure you have it documented, and make sure you have issued receipts. Because they will say that they paid it and didn't pay it. So then it comes down to your word against their word. And if you're keeping good, accurate records, you can throw that receipt book down and say, listen, every child that I've collected money from, I have a receipt. Then that swings the pendulum into your favor. If it's, I collected money from Coach May, but I didn't collect it from Coach Gardner, then I collected it from Coach Griffith, but I didn't collect it from Coach Moy, then you got hosed. Now we don't know if you did it or not. So just make sure that any of that stuff, you have good, accurate records. All right, where are we?
Remunerative conduct. An educator shall maintain integrity with students, colleagues, parents, patrons, or businesses when accepting gifts, gratitudes, favors, and additional compensation.
A college provided multiple payments totaling $4,700 to the educator for use of the high school's track field and equipment. Only $700 was deposited in the appropriate school account. The educator admitted to using the funds to pay coaches under the table, clothing for coaches, and other discretionary uses. The coach repaid the $4,000.
Confidential information.
All right, if you have a camp, and you know it's in the summer, and your coaches are not, you have them as workers. You make sure you give permission, and make sure you talk to me so we can take it up to the proper chain. So if you're going to pay them, everything is approved. I don't think it's a problem with it. We just want to make sure that everything is approved. Because you know, with us, you know, you can't be under 2 contracts. There's a lot of financial laws that you have to be careful of. So if you have a camp or something that you want to pay coaches or people to work, then just run it by us. We can run it up the chain, making sure we follow everything. That way we won't have an issue with that. All right.
An educator shall comply with state and federal laws and state school board policies relating to the confidentiality of student and personnel records, standardized test material, and other information.
Confidential information. Annual performance evaluation records of school personnel. Health services provided to an insured. Individual student performance data, information, and reports. School records of students with disabilities. A student's education record.
The educator admitted to providing a high school student his data system access information and hiring her to assist with data entry of confidential special education student data.
Confidential information. The principal allowed a student to make copies of teacher summative evaluations for him. The student read the evaluations and later commented to a teacher about what he read.
All right. All this stuff is true. We have access to campus. Get into a tight race with Val and